So I think you I said to you the 4 questions. How many questions are there really? I do this with my kids all the time and they tell me 10, 12. There's actually only one question. The Manish Tana is your question. Why is this night different from all other nights? Manish Tana halayla hazeh miko halelot. And the other 4 that are in there are the answers. So it's like one question. And I always thought it was 4 questions. Everybody thinks it's 4 questions, but it's not. It's the answers to what the questions would be, why this night is different. And it tells us the 4 ways that it's different. So you learned something there. All right. So I said we would go over the order of the Seder and some of the blessings on it. And let me do a little screen share. I pulled up this. Okay, so here's a Seder plate. And fortunately, I think almost every Seder plate in America has it in English too. Because if you were just to do the Hebrew, a lot of people would have trouble with it. So, I mean, I know some of the words, but I forget a lot of them. So I think almost all of us know maror. Right here. Maror, bitter herbs. I know people who take horseradish root and just put pieces of it on that spot. And sometimes they pass them out for everybody to take a bite. It's really bitter. And many people use horseradish. That's what we use, horseradish. Then here, this is karpas. So they say parsley, and I've always done parsley, but it's a green vegetable. That's what you put. Some people use lettuce, but it can be any kind of a green vegetable that you want. So here, hazeret. They put hazeret as horseradish. Different Seder plates are different, but here's where your bitter herbs would be, and that would be the horseradish. You can also put that there. But see, this has 6. Most of them, it's 5 things actually. And I actually have a Seder plate that does have 6. It has an extra of something. Here, the egg is the beitza. I don't know how many of you have heard that term, the beitza, but that's your egg. Okay. Maybe we'll do the Seder plate right now just to discuss it. So I'll go back to the bitter herbs. Who can tell me what the bitter herbs symbolize?
Tears.
The tears, right. The tears that the Hebrews had because they were in slavery. So that's the bitter herbs. Why do we have parsley? Anybody?
Bring in the spring?
Well, not sort of, yes. But we use the parsley because we're going to dip. We're going to dip it in the salt water. The salt water are also the tears. Actually, the bitter herbs, some people say it's just the bitterness. It's not just the tears, but it's the bitterness. And because the salt water, the salt is is for tears, because tears are salty. If when you were young and you cried and it dripped down, it was. So we leave that. The egg is what is for the spring. Right. That's new life. Pesach is always in the spring. It's always in Nisan, which is considered the first month of the Hebrew calendar. And the egg symbolizes the new birth in the spring. So the shank bone, the zarar. No, sorry. See, it's been a year. Zoroa, that's it. Zoroa is the shank bone. Who knows what the shank bone symbolizes?
Is that the lamb?
What? The sacrifice?
Yes. The shank bone symbolizes the lamb that they used to put the blood over it, and they sacrifice. They use that lamb as a sacrifice later on, but then it was to symbolize that the shank bone is help put the blood on the lintels so that the angel of death passed over. So it's two things. It's this sacrifices which came afterwards, and it's the angel of death passing over. And then charoset. Who knows what the charoset symbolizes?
Oh, the mortar.
Yes, the mortar that they had to make. The Hebrews had to make their own mortar to put between the bricks when they were building all these buildings for the Pharaoh. So that's what the charoset is. And it's interesting because most of us make it a sweet charoset. I don't know if anybody makes one that's not sweet, but it is, mine is sweet. It's got apples and nuts and some dates and orange juice and all different things. I make a Sephardic one. Okay, there was something else I was going to say.
Isn't the Sephardic like a paste? Is that like a paste?
It can be different things. Mine is, it may be, mine comes up like a trail mix almost, but it's wet. It is a wet trail mix because it's got raisins and dates and apples and nuts and cinnamon and
Wine.
I tell you, I don't use wine all the time now because we know we had a friend who was an alcoholic, so he couldn't have it. And I don't know, there were a couple other people who didn't want the wine with medications. So I started using grape juice.
Oh,
and it works.
tastes the same. Yeah.
It works. So that's your Seder plate. And Seder means order. And that's why there's a certain order to what we do. And we point out the things that are on the Seder plate. So here we go with the order of the Seder plate. Anybody have any other questions? No? Okay. All right. So this is all in every Haggadah. It tells you the order. It tells you each thing you're supposed to do. And when I said you, some people skip, they do. For instance, a lot of people don't do washing of the hands. And there's two washing of the hands, one with a bracha and one without. This one's without. When I first started doing these up in Baltimore, I didn't do washing of the hands. I didn't start doing that till I was down in Sarasota. For some reason, being in Sarasota, you have to really work hard at being Jewish. And I was determined that my children and grandchildren would get as much as they could. So I started adding things, and I wash hands. It's called al natilat yadayim, upon washing yadayim or your hands. I started doing that so that the kids would see that. So the Kadesh is sanctification, and that's the Kiddush. When you, and we say the Kiddush, but we don't drink any of it, that first one. And then you go on to Urchatz, which is washing the hands, and you don't say a blessing this time. As we showed on the plate, the karpas is the spring vegetable. And it's generally a green vegetable. So it's, and we dip it in salt water. So, and here we say the salt water represents the tears of the Jewish people during their years of enslavement in Egypt. So then you have yachatz, breaking the middle matzah. So when you, I'm going to stop share a minute so I can see all of you. So when you said, when you are at a Seder, every Seder should have a Seder plate with the items on it, a Kiddush cup for everyone, a large Kiddush cup, which will be for Elijah, Eliyahu. And on my table, we have a Miriam's cup.
Right.
And in that Miriam's cup is water.
Have you heard of putting an orange on the table?
I was going to get to that. I was. I was. So let me finish with the Miriam's cup. Water, because Miriam is associated with water. She watched her brother when the mother put Moses in the basket in the Nile. She watched him there. When they left and they went through the desert, wherever she was, there was water. When she died, the water stopped. And now they were close to the Israel, but the water stopped. So she's always been associated with water. And then the orange. I did that, oh, maybe about 25 years ago, I started putting an orange on the Seder plate. There were quite a few midrashim about why it's there.
Mhm.
One is about Susanna Heschel, who said it wasn't true what people were saying. But they had said that when she or when someone went to it was in an Orthodox synagogue, and they went to say mourner's Kaddish for their father, the rabbi there said to the woman, this was a woman, you can't say it. And she said, but why not? He said, a woman saying mourner's Kaddish is like having an orange on a Seder plate.
Sure.
One of the stories.
I
So
like that.
whoever finally heard that or said that decided, you know what? We're going to show them and put an orange on. Why not? The other thing is an orange symbolizes Israelis and Hebrews. A little bit hard on the outside, but sweet on the inside. I don't know how many Israelis you know, but the majority of them tend to be this. They're very strong. They're very tough on the outside. They have to be probably to live there, but they have hearts of gold. They do mitzvot, and they're sweet on the inside. So there's two different reasons you can. When I first did the orange, everybody was like, why are you doing that? What is it? Now they're used to it. And now they tell me why. So it's just fun to do different things with a Seder. I've never done this, but I do know some people who they hand out spring onions, scallions to everybody. Jody, do you know this one?
No,
Yeah.
this is new.
Right, so you hand out spring, and when they're talking about their lives of the Hebrews in Egypt, they use them to flag like they were being beat. This is what happens. They use the spring onion and they go like the Hebrews were being beat. So, beaten.
Right.
So that's one other little thing. And I'm sure if you were to look up different traditions, you'd find even more, because we as Jews do try and make things happen, and Midrash is so important, and bringing something new into it is important. And if there are young children or young grandchildren, it's nice to make it interesting. The other thing that I have done with my grandchildren is the plagues. I do almost a full set of plagues that are interactive, or they can learn from it. But we start off with the Nile, with the when the first plague is when God tells Moses to put your staff in the Nile and it turns to blood. And my kids, they love it. I take a clear pitcher of water, clear pitcher, clear water, and I take another pitcher that you can't see what's in it, and I've dyed it white. I've dyed it with beets, so it's red. So I pour it into the clear one, and it like spreads, and it's like, I say, this is like the blood that Moses, that the Nile did. We had frogs, little frogs. That's the fun one. Everybody loves that. You have 5 little frogs, you throw them. I threw balls for hail. I gave them sunglasses for darkness. Truly, the only one, which is the most difficult, is the 10th one, which is the death of the firstborn. And when you have little kids, that's hard. And you don't not say it, but you just pass over it. I always said, and this is it, and then we went on. And one of my students, who's a first or second grader, I forget which one of them, I just said, and the 10th one was that the angel of death came. And she pipes up with, yes, and all the firstborn were killed. I figured her mom and dad, that's what they said. And that's okay. That's okay. She said it. And the other kids were kind of, huh? So there's ways of getting through it, but it is important that we pass the story on, that we tell it. Now, in your Haggadah, there's two things. Well, God is mentioned, but Moses is not mentioned in the Haggadah at all. I don't know if you've ever realized that. He's not, you don't see Moses's name at all. You see, it doesn't even say that it was Jacob who went to Egypt. It talks about a wandering Armenian. That Armenian is Jacob, who left and went to Egypt when there was a famine. So if your Haggadah has any interpretations on the sides, it's always fun to read them. And let me just show you my Haggadah that I bought my son bought for me years ago. This is the one I use. So it's the Feast of Freedom. And in it, it has wonderful artwork and lots of interpretations. Lots of explanations. Because and most Haggadahs nowadays still do have that also. That's why I say it's important to know, to learn, to read about it. Just like I say to you, you have to pronounce your words correctly. So you're saying that prayer. Everyone should know what the story of the Seder and what the story of Passover really is all about. And I mean, it is about freedom, and there's bringing different things into it. But it's good to go over the story that they had, the Hebrews had gone to Egypt and were prosperous, and until the new Pharaoh came and didn't know Jacob and didn't know the original Hebrews. He's the one who put them into slavery, the Pharaoh in our Bible. But the first one, when Jacob went to take his sons and went to Egypt for the famine, that Pharaoh was good to them. So, okay. Let's see what else we've got here.
Anne, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Now there's so many people that are vegetarians. What can we replace the shank bone with?
Okay, and I know people who replace it with a beet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We've done that, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if that was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, no, and actually you can Google and see if there's anything else, but that's what many people replace it with a beet. And it really doesn't see, the only thing that I think it's a symbol is it's red. A beet bleeds red.
Oh,
So
right.
it's like blood. So the shank bone, like we said, symbolizes the blood.
Well,
So
that's good to know the reason.
yeah.
When I tell them use a beet.
And you can go online, Google it, and see what else there is. You find everything there. You truly do. So, okay, I took off my screen share. Let's put this. Okay, share. All right. So Yachatz is the breaking of the middle matzah. So I'm actually going to go through all of these. This is the order. And like I said, you can do all of them. You can do some of them. You can do one of them. It's okay. Here we talk about Magid, is the telling of the story. And different things occur during that. So we give the 4 questions, we talk about the 10 plagues, and but we'll go into that. I think I pulled that up. If not, I will. And I'll tell you something else about that. So then Rachatz, this is washing the hands. The first one is Orchatz, where you don't say a blessing. Rachza, not Rachatz, Rachza is with the blessing. We have Hamotzi, the blessing over bread. And then, I know that seems weird, we have hamotzi over bread, and then we have it over matzah. It's a second one specific to matzah. Let me see. Because you're using wheat anyway, which is what the blessing over bread is. It says the wheat from the earth. So matzah is wheat, but it didn't rise, so it hasn't become bread. So it's the flat. So we do say both of them. Then we pass around a bit of maror, and we pass around the yachatz, the matzah that we broke. Everyone got a piece of that. and the bitter herb. And then we also pass around the haroset, and we make what's called a Hillel sandwich. I would bet a lot of people skip this part of talking about it, but they do it because it's delicious. You put haroset and you put horseradish or matzah, and you have a Hillel sandwich. So why a Hillel sandwich? There's a lot of different definitions in the reasons for it in the Haggadah, but Hillel made a statement that having sweet and bitter was how it was for the Hebrews. So we want to remember this, that there's sweetness because we got our freedom, but there was bitterness that we were there in Egypt. And then this is the part my family loves, the Shulchan Aruch, the dinner. And I can't wait for it. But like I said, you have to finish doing even a little bit if you can. So we've hidden the afikomen and the kids find it. Someone finds it. And some people give money, some people give candy, some people give to everyone who looked, some people give just to the one who found it. Doesn't matter. But you're supposed to eat a piece of it. You're supposed to pass the afikomen around and everyone take a piece and you say a bracha. And then we say Birkat Hamazon, blessing after the meal. There's a short version and a long version. Many people, this is why it's long, Jody. This is why it's so long, because they do songs of praise, they do Hallel.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see where we asked for Eliyahu to come in. No, I'm missing it. It's down here. Okay, so 10 plagues. Okay, it says it specifically. There's a time when you open the door for Eliyahu, for Elijah. One of my let me stop share. Another tradition I learned and we started was to make it more in the present is we go around the room and we take the wine cup for Elijah and everyone puts some of their wine in because we all participate in redemption. Because that's what we're talking about with Eliyahu is that we're going to have redemption, that things are going to be good and get better, even if there's anything that's occurring in our lives or in the world. So we say that everyone participates in this. So everyone puts wine or grape juice or whatever they have in it, in the Eliyahu's cup. And then whoever wants, opens the door and we sing Eliyahu Hanavi. We invite him in. When the kids were little, we used to empty the wine glass and we'd say, look, he drank it, but they're all too big for that. So, but you could do that if you have little ones, because they'll ask, they'll say, did he drink it? And so that's to me, one of the important parts of it is talking about redemption and that things get better and that we invite Elijah in. We invite our ancestors in is what we do also. So it's the children learn this and adults learn this thing. So we showed this is before Eliyahu is that we do the plagues. So I don't know if all of you dip something into the wine. Okay. So one thing I learned from a rabbi is, I was growing up, when I grew up, we used to dip it and our finger and we put it in our mouth. Yeah. We dip it and put it in our mouth. My father did it that way. And one of the rabbis said, no, because these are the plagues, 10 plagues that fell on the Egyptians. They are God's children too. We don't want to be happy or taste sweetness or goodness when we're talking about the plagues. The plagues are important to know and that it happened to the Egyptians, but we don't want to be happy about it. We don't want sweetness or goodness. So that's how I've spread it to my family. We don't put it in our mouth. We make sure we just put it on the plate. Just a little something else, but that was something that made a lot of sense to me when the rabbi told us. So that was that.
That's interesting, Anne, that the reason why, because yeah, we always did that too, put it on the plate, but I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, and it makes sense because
Yeah.
you do want to take a drop out. That's
Right.
part of it, spilling it out, making it so we're obvious that that's a play, but you don't want it to be sweet and good for you. Yeah,
We've done that for at least 2 decades that I can think of. And it's, it's pretty much what you said. We don't take any pleasure out of it.
right, right.
Mm.
That's
And we've
good.
done that, and it was hard because everybody was doing it at the beginning and then all of a sudden it was like a light bulb.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up, we did that. And my father, we were Orthodox. But I think that more and more rabbis and more scholars are studying things we do and coming up with different reasons and appropriate reasons. So, okay, that's good.
And is there a way you can send that article out, email it to us?
Which
Because
one?
I think some of my friends would enjoy looking at that too.
Looking at which one? What are you talking about?
That Taste of Home article that you were referencing. The the screen share, that article.
It had the 15
sorry.
steps on it.
Let me do it again. I'll screen share and you tell me.
No, just the whole article. Can you forward that link
Oh, the
of
link
the article? Yes, of the article.
of this one, Jody?
Yeah.
Okay, sure, I will. It's up here. I'll get that to you all later.
Oh, taste of home.
Huh?
I think my friends would enjoy reviewing that.
Sure, definitely. I'll send it to you. So here we take other Seder traditions. There are others. And the Passover meal is whatever you make, but it doesn't, there's no set rule. But well, there's some recipes. Okay. But the thing about what was I saying? The thing about the Passover meal. What did I just wanted to say something. Oh, desserts. The thing that's important is when you do the afikomen and you pass it around as a dessert, you have your dessert, you have your desserts also. And then if you are going to say the Birkat Hamazon, you have to be finished dessert because it's when everything's finished. That's when we thank God for everything he's allowed us to do, taught us that not necessarily taught us, but we've learned how to do. That's what Birkat Hamazon is. It's all about being grateful and thankful. So that's that. Okay, I will send that, Jody. No problem. Okay, so here, okay, I wanted to, all right, so let me go to the 4 questions because those, here we go. All right, so here's the 4 questions. And I thought, let me ask, did you all, why do the screen share is always, all right, do any of you say it with the person who's saying it? Or do you just get?
Yeah, we say it together a lot of times because the kids all say it
Right.
at first, whoever can say it. And then we share.
That's good.
We
Okay.
join in.
Typically ours is it's only the youngest child traditional, but you do have the situation where
Well, you're
the child, whatever, and we have them do like 1 word and then join in.
Jody, we can't hear you. You went in and out. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was saying our tradition was depending on the situation of the Seder. We traditionally do the youngest child.
Right.
But there's many times, especially recently anymore, that they're either too young or too shy. So we encourage them to do 1 or 2 words and then everybody joins in.
Right. That's good.
Mhm.
That's good. Okay, yes. And if there is no youngest child, it can be the youngest adult.
Right.
Because you definitely, and if you decide all of you say it, then all of you say it. So here it is right here. And as I said, this is top one's the only one with a question mark. That's it.
Right.
Them are all answers. It talks about matzah. It talks about maror. It talks about this is.
I'm not seeing what you're seeing, Anne.
Yeah,
Mine says steps of the Passover Seder.
Oh, you're not getting this?
no.
No, we still
Yeah,
have.
we don't have it.
Okay, let me
Maybe this screen share.
stop share.
More.
Do you see it now?
No.
Nothing shared.
That's so weird because I've screen shared other things that are not on Google, but are, I'm sorry, ladies, it's in the Word document. I have it in Word and I've screen shared that before. I wish okay, let me just go here and share and see if it'll, no. No. I'm sorry. I got it wrong. All right, well, okay, I'll stop then. Okay, I'll stop it. So that's, I'm sorry, I wanted you to go over the Manish Tana. We could sing it together or we could, or one of you, I'll tell you what, I think it's important that you do know. And if you know it if you're comfortable, sing at least 1 or 2 lines. Okay, so anybody want to start? No.
Yeah, Manish Tana Halayla Haza Mikol Halaylot Mikol Halaylot Shebakol Halaylot and Anu wait.
Anu Uchlein. Anu Uchlein.
Sha'ir Yerakot Sha'ir Yerakot Halayla Haza Halayla Haza Halayla Haza Halayla Haza Kulo Matzah. Wait, is that the right one? Oh, wait.
Okay.
How? Oh, yeah. Why is
Because
that
the first one is, it says, why do we eat just matzah? Right?
Right.
That's Shebecho Halelot Anu Ochlin Kametsu Matzah.
Right.
Halayla Hazeh Kulo Matzah. But on this night, we only eat matzah. Okay. All right. Then I think you
Oh,
were.
I was doing the second one.
Right. You did the second one, which was the
Sorry.
more.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that was good.
Just open the book. So
That was good. So as we said, the first one's the question: why is this night different from all the nights? And then the answers are: why is it we have matzah and bread, but this night only matzah? And then why is it we have all kinds of vegetables, but this time we only have bitter herbs? We do have other vegetables. On other nights, we
Right.
usually dip. We don't even dip once sometimes. Now we dip twice. And on all other nights, we eat either sitting upright or reclining. Why on this night do we recline? And as you go on, it answers all of it. And that's the key, is answering the questions. This is the answers, but it explains it to you. What in the world is that? It explains it to you. So, it's important, I think, that everyone, learn and know about this. Passover is actually one of they say 98% of Jews go to a Seder.
Oh, wow.
Not that many go for Rosh Hashanah, even less go for Sukkot, but 98% of Jews do go to a Seder. And one thing that is I grew up with, and I do this with mine, is it's always nice to invite someone who's not Jewish. That it's kind of it's not a rule, it's not a law, it's not in the Torah, but it's come about that it's nice because you're teaching someone else, you're teaching them about our Judaism, because that's the key. And we're having so much trouble with anti-Semitism that it is good for people to know these things. So, all right. So I had another thing in many Haggadot, it talks about the 4 sons.
Right.
So in my Haggadah, we say the 4 children.
Yeah.
And more and more people are bringing things up to what's now. There are even some some feminist ones who say the 4 daughters, but they're generally having a women's Seder. It's at a women's Seder. Have any of you been to a women's Seder?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Because you get a new take on it. You get some different learnings from it. It's very, I love women's Seders because it's a time for us to really explain and a time for us to question and to learn about it. So the four children, I always felt that it's very important that we talk about the four children because I wanted my children and my grandchildren to know that it's okay to question, and that the person who doesn't question, or the person who poo-poos it all, is not practicing their Judaism the way they could and should. You want to be open to things. You want to learn. So they, I'll show you this picture. This is the four, it looks like men, but it's the four children in my book.
Oh. Mhm.
So it talks about the story, and it's important to know that. And I don't have I thought I had the blessings here. So it is important that you don't have to do your blessings in Hebrew all the time. You know, if only one person knows them, they can say it. And then I think it's important that you say it in English too, because that way everybody learns it. Everybody hears what you're saying. There are 4 cups of wine, of which there are 4 cups of wine, and I apologize. It's lost my brain. The reasons there are 4. It's redemption. It's I'm sorry. I don't remember it. All right. And what else? Songs are fun. Okay, so songs are fun. Diana's in the end, and everybody kind of knows Diana. And in a lot of them, and in mine, there's a lot that's midrash that different rabbis have told, and it helps to read some of them. It's good to read some of them. You don't have to read all of them, because that's what makes your Seder last till 12. But you read some of them and let people know. We have another tradition that we do, that we go around, and when we talk about the plagues, we've talked about the plagues. I go around and I ask everyone, name a modern plague.
Mm.
A lot of people have trouble with that.
COVID.
But I think we need to be aware of where we are right now. And there are modern plagues. And you get a lot of different answers. You get some very interesting ones. Depending upon the political background of some of your people, you get some interesting ones. But it's really it's important to be in the now, because even though the Seder, and even though leaving Egypt happened so many thousands of years ago, we still go through it, and there are still plagues. What, Jody?
No, I was just gonna say, I just Googled the 4 cups of wine for you. So it does not describe which each cup represents, but it says, we drink 4 cups of wine in a ritual modeled after a Greek symposium. The 4 cups are meant to mirror the 4 phases used in the Bible to describe God taking the Jews out of slavery. And that's from the foreword. So I'm not sure what each phase is.
Right. So there are different phases. He says, wish I could remember it. I used to know this and I forgot.
That's okay. I'll Google that too.
It's I take you out, I give you something else, and then redemption's the last one. I will look it up and I will send it to you, all of you. So you'll know, because I should have been prepared with that. Of wine, reason. Okay. All right. That's good. Thanks, Jody.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful to you all. Does anybody have any other questions or think that you need?
One thing that I saw recently at a family Seder, which my children didn't have, was little puppets for the plagues.
Yeah.
And they got a kick out of the little ones, got a kick out of that.
If you have little ones, it's so important to make it fun for them. It really is, because then they'll remember. And then
You
they'll-
know, over the years, we went from a traditional Haggadah to now we use, when the kids were real little, it was like, the 10-minute Seder for the kids, but now we use it from a PJ library. It's called In Every Generation. It's a
Right.
family Haggadah book. And it is more interactive and, for the children. So, and we do decorate with the, all the puppets and all the stuff. So the table is all decorated for Passover that way.
Right, right. I mean, there are puppets. There's also masks. If you
Right. I have
go
masked
online,
it,
you can
right.
get masks that show
All the templates.
it's
Right.
cows and it's
Right.
hail and all things like that.
We actually had for many years, friends of ours did the play. She wrote a play when her kids were young, and at the beginning, everybody had a role. Baby Moses, adult Moses, Aaron, all the parts.
Oh,
And so it was completely participatory. Haggadah.
I think that's great. My family would not do that.
Oh, my husband was not a happy camper. He goes, am I? So we always found the smallest part. I think there was a slave who grunted a couple times and that was his role. And I found the 4 cups if you want to hear them.
Okay, go.
So the first cup is the cup of sanctification. And I won't read all the descriptions because of time. The second cup is the cup of praise.
oh.
The third cup is the cup of redemption. And the fourth cup, let's see, it's called the cup of acceptance or the cup of anticipation, and celebrates the relationship God desires with his chosen people.
Thank you. Very good.
Welcome.
All right. See, I mean, that's important to know what, when you just do things and you don't know why, so that's good. Thank you very much. Anybody have any other questions or anything about it?
Yeah, I'd like to say that where I live, it's a big apartment building. We have about 200 units, and it's very diverse, people from all over the world. And 3 other women and I plan programs of understanding, having people talk from different places where they were born and why they came here. And last year we had a rabbi who lived here, and we did a program on the Seder. We served charosis, matzah, wine, and macaroons. We had a wonderful turnout. People were so interested. We weren't sure how many people would want to come, because we're certainly, the Jewish people are certainly the minority here, maybe 15, 20 the most. It was wonderful. Everybody loved it, and they still talk about it.
Good,
Oh,
good. I will give you another suggestion some people do. Some people make different types of haroset.
mhm.
There's so many recipes. So you could have, different haroset and people can taste all the different ones. That's one thing you can do. And yeah, so that's good. I think it's very important. We've always invited someone who's not Jewish to our Seder, always. There's always someone who wants to come. My daughter's friend said to her the other day, "Can I come to your mother's Seder?"
Have you?
I
So
know her and I know her kids and everything else. So yes, so
I'm assuming this is normal across the country, not just the Midwest, but like usually your congregation will host the second Seder. At least it is in the Midwest. It's very normal.
I think there
But
are lots of, Diane's shaking her head too. I think there are lots of ones that do host a second one. If you go to Reform, they host the first.
yeah, they do, which is actually nice in Des Moines, because
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't have a place to go, they can go to both.
Ah,
So it's actually a very nice opportunity here in Des Moines. But one of the things that you were talking about, Haroset, I thought was very interesting is my second congregational home up in the Twin Cities. They actually create a Haroset bar
oh,
for the second Seder. And,
wow.
and it's kind of cool. I mean, you name the topping, it can be made from capers to eggs, chopped up eggs to, you name it, it was the most interesting. They had like 30 different ingredients,
Wow.
from juice to wine to so on. And you make your own garrosas. I'll be honest, a lot of them turned out pretty disgusting. I've tried it
Yeah.
because it sounded good, like, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. No, it's not good. But it's a very it's a cool concept that if you have the ability to do at home, everybody makes their own garosa.
And brings,
Oh,
that's true. That's a great idea. You
Yeah.
can also look online and see different jarosas from different countries.
mhm.
Greek
But-
make it a certain way, Moroccans make it a certain way, is Russians make it a certain way, and you could do that. So that's, yeah, and that makes it, that just gives you a little bit something fun about it. And everybody enjoys it. So yeah, that's good. I actually make two kinds. I make this Sephardic one I talked about, and I make one my sister made. It's like Russian. It's just apples and cinnamon and wine and nuts. And some people like it, some people don't, but that's okay. They can pick and choose whichever one they want. So
That's the one I grew up on, is your second one.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay. That's a Russian background, is what it is. Probably. All
I
right.
think
Well,
I'll ask my
what-
girls this year to each make one and not tell anybody and see what they all make. Yeah, that's
that's a
good.
good idea. Yeah.
Mhm.
See, I can't do that because I keep kosher.
Yeah,
I everybody knows that when they come, they don't bring anything they've made. If they're going to do fruit, they have to bring it whole to my house and they cut it up at my house. I
yeah.
keep it the way I keep it from how I grew up. So it's like going to be that way. But
Well,
my kids don't keep kosher, but they understand. So they
and my son keeps kosher because we keep kosher. We don't bring forbidden food in, but we don't keep kosher. But my son's in-laws are Shomer Shabbos. So when they go to I've never had my son and daughter-in-law and the grandkids for Passover because they go to her side every year for Passover, and they're up till midnight.
Wow.
They have the satyrs that go and they have fun and sing songs and do all those things. So we've never had them the first or second night. They've always been with their side, which is fine. We
Yeah.
get them the other holidays. That's okay.
You have to share.
I would like to say that in Baltimore, where the Orthodox people live, you can see them leaving their seders at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my, yeah.
There's a very big Orthodox contingent in Baltimore. and
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was sharing earlier. My mom told me as she was growing up, they didn't even start dinner until midnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was the 2, 3 o'clock in the morning situation. And we're all saying that can't even be an option today's world with work and everything unless you took.
Yeah.
I don't, although I think that the very Orthodox still do it that way.
They do.
They do, and that's okay for them.
I think it's good because it gives the kids patience. As I was sharing,
Or the kids at Baltimore.
ours ends by 7:30 because the kids had no patience and there were squirrels running around the house like crazy. I'm okay with it. It creates discipline.
I finally learned with my grandkids. I guess I didn't do it with my own kids. They were different with it, but I put out when the grandkids were little, I would put out Passover books, a PJ library, any kind of Passover
Yeah.
books. And then if they couldn't sit at the table, they could go in there and they could look, they could play even, and then they come back for it. It's hard for kids. It is. It truly is. So, but at least if you do something and they hear some of it, then that's important. It's
Mhm.
the people.
One change I think has happened since the first Seder I went to. I was in my 20s, and all the women were in the kitchen, and the father was leading the Seder, and then myself and my friends were sitting there. Where are the women?
Yes, right. No more. We don't do it like that anymore. Or at least a lot of us don't. As a matter of fact, like I said, I lead my Seder. I just I've been doing it So,
We let our kids lead it now.
that's nice.
Oh, good.
If I let my son lead it, it would be 5 minutes. That's it.
They do it quickly, but we have the, we tell them they have to lead it because my father's not here, my grandparents. And so we said, forget it. We're not doing it. You do it. And they go through, the simple steps, but they do go through it and they finish it. So
Good. And I will
it's a
say,
good tradition.
I will say to any of you, I mean, I know Naomi, you won't be able to do it because you've got the surgery, but if any of you, you can always make a Seder. You can always do it. If you're not going somewhere or you're not having people over as a full thing, and maybe it's just the two of you, or maybe or one of you, and just invite someone, just do that and go out, you get a Haggadah and you can read through it. It's just a nice thing to know the reason why we're all doing this. And
Well, I'm gonna have my
Yeah,
daughters are coming from Chicago to help me. And I figured, well, I'll make some chicken soup and something, just one thing to represent the holiday, and that will be, that will be it.
right, all right,
A long day.
you do what you can. That's it.
That's right.
You do what you can.
Uh,
All right,
another-
ladies. What?
Another thing we always said, when the kids go to open the door for Eliyahu, we shake the table so that the wine is moving in the cup. And we say, now, don't you see, he ate it? He
Oh,
had
that's
it,
cute.
he drank it, and he went on to the next house.
Oh, that's cute.
That is cute. I like that. Like I say, we dump the wine somewhere else, and then the kids would say, he drank it. Oh, all right, ladies. I hope this was helpful. I didn't do very much Hebrew.
Nice.
Next week, I'll have a lot more Hebrew that we'll be reading.
This
I'm not
was
sure.
wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you, and everybody. I have a good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, and I will see you next week. The week after, I won't. We won't do it on Passover. So,
Bye-bye.
Okay,
right. So everybody, take care and have a great day.
You too.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good Shabbos, everybody.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.